Guntech launched with the backer release of the Atari VCS in December of 2020 and was at the time one of the biggest games in terms of ambition and size on the console. Developer Jani Penttinen based this modern Guntech on his original Utopos game released in the early 1990s on the Atari ST, but it is in some ways more based on a sequel to the original Utopos that never made it to launch that he began working on in the mid-90s. Jani himself returned to the games industry a few years ago to launch Guntech on the VCS and PC, along with releasing a PvP-focused game set in the same universe, called Utopos, this past year as well. The original Guntech on the VCS had a lot going for it, but I felt in my original review it also suffered from some significant control and gameplay issues that made it slightly less fun than I'd hoped. Thankfully, Jani has spent the time improving the game, and Guntech 2.0 fixes most of my original concerns while adding a lot of new content for your money. Guntech 2.0 plays a bit like a non-scrolling space shooter where you fly around a large map with walls, caves, machinery, and ships, battling enemies and completing tasks. Progression earns you coins for extensive ship and weapon upgrades and unlocks. Rushing into battle gets you killed and quickly, so you'll find yourself carefully flying and fighting things from a distance. I have to admit, I never had enough coin to upgrade a ship, so I can't speak to what other ships actually do. Upgrading everything takes a lot of coin grinding, but you will earn enough to upgrade your weapons and your ship through regular gameplay. Guntech 1.0 was pretty easy. I rarely died during my 4 or so hours of playing. Guntech 2.0 is much more difficult. The number of enemies is way up, and the bosses and other enemies hit hard. Jani has managed to increase the number of enemies on screen and pull back the overall game view without sacrificing performance, which is pretty impressive. Here are some side-by-side comparisons between 1.0 and 2.0, and you can see how navigating around and knowing where your enemy is less of a shot in the dark than in the first game, which makes the game a lot more fun to play. The controls have been updated to include the ability to use the classic controller's twist functionality. This is great news for us VCS owners, and the classic works very well. You only use the stick to steer up to thrust. Rotation is entirely controlled by twist. You can also use a keyboard and mouse or modern style controller, which offers 2 control schemes, one with the D-pad, the other with a left stick. There is still a ball and chain style weapon that uses down to deploy and release, but just like in 1.0, I never actually figured out what benefit it offered, and I found it to get in the way rather than be useful. Up to 4 players can play together locally, with one person controlling the main ship and the others controlling smaller sidekick ships. I was only able to get a 2-player game going due to a lack of people for the review. The screen remains centered on the main ship called the Captain, so if the sidekick flies off screen they do get lost, although the ship eventually teleports back to the Captain. It was fun, and having a second player helped with more difficult levels. Guntech also features several theme stages for Christmas and Halloween, in addition to an entire section focused on picking up and delivering packages, which offers its own gameplay challenge. An arcade mode starts you at the start of a stage and tracks how far you get with a score and leaderboard. One big change from 1.0 is you only get 3 lives per stage on normal, unlike the unlimited lives of the original. If you want unlimited lives, it is available as an easy difficulty. Guntech is a full game with impressive sci-fi graphics, plenty of options, challenging combat, tons of indie cred, a history dating back to the Atari ST, and a developer who spends a lot of time improving the game and communicating with players on Discord and elsewhere. The game is still in need of additional bug fixing and polish, but it's very likely to get that polish in the coming months, so any bugs I encountered didn't seem worth bringing up. The game even got a price cut for its re-release. It had been the most expensive game in the VCS store at $24.99, but Guntech 2.0 is $19.99, bringing it in line with several other titles. If you already purchased Guntech, 2.0 is a free game update. Just go to the game in Atari OS and update it. Jani has stated he intends to turn his attention to Utopos and give that game an overhaul next, which is also really exciting news, as it includes the addition of up to 10 players, new maps, and more. Pro tip, the ships and guns control the same between Guntech and Utopos, so playing a lot of the former will make you an expert during the online battles of the latter. Thanks for watching. I'll be making more VCS game reviews and other videos in the coming weeks, so subscribe if you would like to get these videos in your feed. Liking helps spread the word about the channel as it helps get these videos into people's search results, and liking also lets me know you appreciated the video. Have fun!